Welcome to Health and Wellness. Today we're here with Dr. Mary Devereaux.
Hi.
And we're going to talk about, remember that George Carlin video where he said, it's bad for you? Well, this time we're going to do a little takeoff on that. We're going to say, is it bad for you?
Is
Because
it? Yep.
I really don't know. And
Right.
that's why you're here. We're
Yeah.
going to ask you about these things.
Absolutely. Let's talk about all these things.
We've got some really, these are things that we use in our everyday lives. We're going to talk about sugar, we're going to talk about salt, we'll talk about wine, we'll talk about chocolate, and maybe even dive into coffee.
Yum.
Are all these things bad for us?
Well, we're on sugar. We're talking about.
So that's a no? Okay,
Well,
good, we're done. See ya.
Okay, I gotta go. Yeah.
Now, sugar. Let's
Right.
start with sugar.
Okay.
So you wrote something on your blog that was very interesting, really piqued my interest about sugar. It said it contains 3 of the most abundant elements in the universe.
Right.
What are those elements?
Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
And they've all come together and made this neat little molecule we call sugar. That's natural sugar?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So there's natural sugar and then there's not so natural sugar.
Well-
Are there differences?
So the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen is a sugar molecule. So that would be like maybe white sugar.
Okay.
Then like a beet sugar or a cane sugar that has other molecules on it that come in its natural form.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. So I understand that you can have slight differences. So say you have like 8 carbon atoms, 10 hydrogen atoms, a little bit of nitrogen and some oxygen. What do you have?
You're gonna have a cup of joe.
Pretty cool, right? And you can screw it around a little bit more and even make things like cocaine. So is it real easy just to take these things apart? Can I just take a little piece of sugar and just tear it apart and make cocaine?
Maybe you could. I don't know. You have master of skills.
That would be bad. No, you can't do that. It's very difficult to do.
Well,
You use extreme chemical processes.
Yeah, you have to think about it, like oxygen you breathe, but H2O is water. So it's totally different things.
So I can't make water from sugar. Not easily.
And take out the carbon, possibly. I imagine maybe you could in a laboratory.
What kind of lab would you need for that?
Yeah.
Multi-million-dollar. So you can't do that. It's not easy. All right.
It's
So
not natural.
sugar makes people feel good, I understand. Why does sugar make you feel good?
Well, I have a problem with sugar sometimes. So it makes you feel good and then makes you crash really hard. And then I have headaches and things like that, especially when it doesn't have all the nutrients that I'm really craving and I just do just a sugar. I needed more than that when I craved it. So the short answer is yes.
What is it about sugar that makes most people?
Well, it works your hormonal response of your dopamine, so it excites that. So, and there's many foods that do that, but sugar is our go-to because it's simple and it's its easiest form. And yeah.
So dopamine really stimulates, it's been called the pleasure hormone. But it doesn't just do that, it does a number of things. It's responsible for regulating your movement,
Yeah.
controls your attention, also making decisions. But its effects can be varied. It really depends on how your physiology works, I
Right.
suppose.
And sugar, of course, is the number one thing your brain needs to work. So if someone says cut out all sugar, I'm sorry, I'm too smart for that.
Well,
My
you
brain-
probably can't live without sugar. Right?
Absolutely, you
That's
can't
your
live
main
without
energy,
sugar.
isn't it?
That's right. That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's ridiculous. Don't cut out all your sugar. You're going to end up 6 feet under.
No, you're gonna end up not smart.
So natural or processed, is the chemical makeup of sugar different? Like this sugar here, your table sugar, your processed refined sugar, same chemical makeup as this?
The molecule of sugar is the same. It's when it hasn't been stripped of the other natural parts of it. Like this is, what do we have here? This is the cane sugar. So this comes from a cane plant and it's broke down. So they didn't take out all the nutrients, the little micronutrients that are in the cane plant.
Like talk about the micronutrients. What would you find in there?
Well, like the vitamins.
They call them
you can
impurities.
have. Right. Those impurities are like your vitamins and
Let's
things.
see what this looks like. This is organic raw cane sugar. Just take a look at that in my hand here, if you can see that. And it just looks like these are kind of,
Yeah.
Felicia said they're cream
The color. Yeah.
cream crystals. Is that
She
what you
knows
think?
colors.
Yeah, she's our color specialist here. But it looks like regular old sugar, other than the color's a little different. So you're
Right.
telling me there's other molecules, other substances in here?
That's right. That's right.
Are
And
these good for you?
yeah, absolutely. You know, you have vitamins, vitamin K, vitamin B in there, and pretty much all of the plants. You have beet sugar that would have all kind of the beet nutrients that are in that sugar. So,
Oh,
and so,
interesting.
yeah. So, but some people don't like the taste of beet sugar or
So they
something.
do taste a little different.
Well, I can tell the difference in all the different sugars because if you try them separately, but I make you do a sugar testing where I just cover.
It's a really good idea. Some people may not be able to, and I probably wouldn't know the difference. So this is turbinado cane sugar. Now these are a little bigger.
Well, it's
They're
just
a
how it
little
was
more
processed.
chunky.
Yeah. And that has more of the molasses still in there.
Oh.
And they can make it finer if they want to process it down. They're just not stripping it down. They're not changing the color in it. Is that more richer? A little bit, yeah, a little bit
This
more
is my
rich.
favorite. To be honest
Turbinado,
with you.
yeah, because it has more of that molasses taste to it.
Yeah, it's like it almost tastes to me, I know it sounds silly, but it tastes sweeter to me.
Yes, the molasses
Yeah,
will
so
do that.
it's
And
fine.
you can do all the different sugars and taste them yourself, and you'll find the different like enriching flavors. But you have to like do it separately.
Processed sugar, we talked about that. They strip away the impurities. or whatever,
Impurities.
The other things there.
Yes.
So is that good for us or bad thing? We have regular sugar here. This is regular white processed sugar, and it looks very clean.
Yep.
It looks almost like it's been bleached, because we've seen the natural sugar is more of a cream or a
Right.
tan.
And it's still a little bit like this is finer. It feels
Yeah.
silkier then.
It does. It feels real silky. It's an excellent way to describe it. So what have they done to this sugar that
Well-
makes it look like this? And
And it's sorry, it's
yeah, is this good or
started.
bad?
It started with baking, and the more I think it was in the 60s where it was like, let's use our white sugar, our white flour, our eggs, and let's bake something. So it was all kind of looked prettier, but it does. White sugar is, I don't want to say it's the enemy, but it's definitely an excitatory that doesn't have the nutrients along with it that your body's asking for.
So what does it do with this sugar? Does it process it differently? Your body?
It's going to be just like a jolt of energy. But like this is what makes me crash really hard because I need more vitamins and things that the other sugars provide.
All right, so you said that it'll make it crash, and I can identify with that too. If I drink something or I eat something that has a lot of sugar, you get that really big high, you get a lot of energy, kind of a jolt, and then you kind of crash hard. So why does that happen as opposed to regular sugar?
When you need energy, you can't just make up energy. You need energy for a reason. So you're deficient in maybe your B vitamins, especially that's for metabolism. And when you're needing energy and you're craving that sugar because a sugar molecule has all those nutrients you need for energy and you just get that one excitatory, it'll get you there, but it can't maintain you there. So that's why we crash. And it just kind of like inflames the blood a little bit. It's harder to process in the digestion
wow.
system and things too.
So your body's expecting a natural sugar that we've kind of, I guess,
More the vitamins and minerals. It's kind of like if you chase a supplement. It's like that's a supplement to me. That's a supplement for a sugar rush that you need for energy, but it doesn't have all the nutrients of like, you chase a B vitamin or you do like a kale, so.
So you mentioned inflammation. Are other things like that, other negative things like inflammation, are these things that you can get from using processed sugar opposed to natural sugar?
I feel like with anything that you overdo, and you're not doing it because your body's asking for it, but sometimes we get conditioned, we're stressing, because sugar is good for when you're stressing. It feels good because your stress hormones need sugar to keep going. So if we're stressing a lot and we're doing a lot of sugars, we can still be chronically inflamed because we're also not going to be sleeping well. There's going to be more things going on in the body. We're not going to be sleeping well. We're going to have pain in our joints anyways and things. So
I've read that inflammation can lead to high blood pressure. It can lead to digestive issues,
Absolutely.
to headaches.
absolutely.
So inflammation is one of the worst things that can happen to your body. And you think that processed sugar is going to help that along? It's going to create a little more inflammation than non-processed sugar?
Well, like in the stomach, if you want to go to bacteria feeds off that a lot quicker than all these nutrients that could be deterrents to bacteria,
Gotcha. So
right?
the body kind of slowly digests the natural sugars.
Right, and also there's nutrients that will deter bacteria growth.
Ah.
But in white sugar, it's just like, party.
Party.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Celebration.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And there's case studies that show that bacterial overgrowth causes that inflammation in the body too. And it comes down to that gut health and keeping our bacteria and virus in check. And in harmony.
Can you eat too much sugar? I mean, does your body tell you when to shut off and stop eating sugar? Or, what's the right amount of sugar?
Well, right. Of course you can overdo too much sugar, but I do find when you eat sugars that are natural, your body does say it's enough. Like I can't do it on grapes and cherries, but you give me a piece of cake and then you just kind of inhale it and you're like, oh, that was a bad decision.
Yeah, you feel it.
But I mean, I've eaten cake that was made with, not processed sugar, and you actually just kind of slow down. I don't know why you would.
You stated on your blog that sugar is not the enemy in its natural bond.
Right.
So we should enjoy sugar options like raw cane sugar, beet sugar, molasses, honey, stevia, coconut, monk fruit, maple syrup, among other things.
Right.
So what about this stuff here? Look, we talked about honey. Tell me about honey. How is honey different?
So honey is naturally made, and if you can get, this is a nice one, if you can get a local raw honey, then it helps with allergies.
Honey has natural sugar in it. among other
Absolutely.
things.
It definitely is mostly sugar. It's going to get you the energy. Oh, and a great thing to do if you're playing sports is put this in some water, maybe with some apple cider vinegar, and you will have so much energy through a tennis match, and everybody else is like just.
Is that what you do?
Yeah, just.
It works?
I do.
How do you get over the taste of the vinegar?
Well, with the honey, you don't taste it.
Okay.
Yeah, and you get. You don't have to do the apple cider vinegar if you don't want to, but that is full of energy too. It's one of my favorite, and my friends actually ask for it, but not in front of the other friends. They do it on this side, behind scenes.
I got it. So what about high fructose corn syrup or corn syrup in
Corn
general?
syrup in general. Yeah.
These two unidentified brands here that are
So-
use corn. Is it sugar or is it something
Fructose is sugar. If it's high fructose, it's just been altered a little bit in chemistry. So I always feel like everything should be in its natural form because your body has to recognize it as something different and doesn't even know what to do with it when it's been changed.
So you've mentioned in your blog, and I read some other sources too, that says just eliminating white processed sugar could potentially keep the world from getting type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
And also eliminating white and artificial sugar will give you healthier blood, alleviate much of your chronic pain, and potentially strengthen all of your organs.
White sugar, there's case studies. Can we put some case studies at the bottom
Sure.
about this so
Yeah,
people
yeah.
want to look at it? White sugar is such an inflammatory, and maybe it's because of the bacteria overgrowth in the body that we have trillions in us, and we got to work in harmony with them, that it causes pain. It causes pain in every joint, and it causes, that, of course, the high blood pressure and because it's inflamed in our blood. We can't work it out in the gut. It's got to go somewhere, so that gets into the blood system.
How do we know if something has regular sugar or too much sugar, processed sugar, corn syrup, and what do we do when we're shopping for things?
Do you mean look at labels?
Is that what we do? We look at the labels, find out if there's real
Go.
sugar in there? Or will it
Call
tell
your
us
friends.
if there's real sugar or...
It'll say
Cane sugar?
cane sugar. It'll say beet sugar. If it just says sugar, then it's processed white sugar.
Okay.
So in a lot of foods you can find it in is from pastas that you wouldn't even think it's in there. And,
Pastas?
Yeah, pastas.
Sugar in pastas?
Huge. Like you get yogurt because you want to get probacteria, which you want for your gut, and it can be loaded with white sugar.
What?
So you're like, yeah.
I'm trying to be healthy and there's sugar up in there? No.
But if it was raw sugar, it'd be fine. But it's just if it's the white sugar, then you're trying to get some good bacteria, and then you put the white sugar in with it. It's kind of
And you're just messing yourself all
counterproductive,
up.
I would think. Yeah.
Salad dressing? Instant oatmeal?
Yeah.
Dried fruit, you said?
Oh, there is this one. I bought some dried fruit for my son, and I looked at the ingredients. Dried fruit, and the first ingredient was sugar. The first ingredient of dried fruit.
Added to the fruit. It
The
has its
first
own sugar.
ingredient was sugar. So it had the sugar first, and then it had like a juice added to also sweeten it up. And I'm just like, that's sad because if you're trying to eat better and you get some it was like dried cranberries. Yeah, they're bitter, but I'm like, they're trying to put cranberries in their salad. That would be so, unsuccessful. And you're trying hard, you're getting the salad going, you put those cranberries in there, and they're just loaded with, and it was more calories in the sugar than it was just kind of sad.
These companies are trying to create an illusion of doing something good, but it has to taste good and it's canceling the effect.
Yeah, I think that maybe they're trying to please what the people want. They want something sweet, and it's just not in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's frustrating.
Some people have sugar cravings. Do you think that the natural sugars would satisfy those cravings?
Absolutely, I do, and I have sugar cravings. And then when I will have a craving, let's say, and my son wants sugar, I'll make some homemade cookies, and I'll use the sugars and things. And he doesn't inhale them as much as he does when he gets processed cookies.
So he doesn't like them as much? Is what you're saying?
I think
Or
he's
do you see them
I think
slowly?
he's more satisfied. I'm not gonna say he doesn't like them. But they also never make them the same because there's always some flaxseed thrown in there and some almond flour, and it's just like, either going to be a cookie this big and hearty. Just call it a muffin.
Right. It's not a cookie anymore.
That's right.
All right, great information on sugar. Let's move ahead to the other deemed. So all sugar is not bad. Just try to stay away from the processed sugar
and
the corn
needed.
syrups.
Just make sure it's important.
Right.
It's not that it's all bad, but it's important. You
Right.
have to have sugar.
You have to have
Yeah.
that.
So don't feel guilty, because guilt will make you eat more sugar.
Now you also need salt, which I'm very happy to hear because I'm going to admit I am a saltaholic. I always have been since I was a young child. But they're doing some research. There are reasons for that. So what is salt? Tell us chemically, what is salt?
Sodium chloride.
So it's 40% sodium, 60% chloride.
That's right.
Does our body need these ingredients for some reason?
Yes. Well, each cell it has a sodium potassium pump. So sodium goes in and potassium comes out. It's like 2 potassiums to 3 sodium. So that's very important for our cell. Every part of our cell needs it. And then the chloride. Oh boy, I'm going way back to biology. Let's pretend like we just skipped through
Okay,
this.
forget chloride. So the sodium's the important part, the 40% sodium. Okay.
They both are really important.
It's also a food preservative in a lot of parts of the world, and bacteria can't thrive in the presence of a high amount of salt. So if you eat a lot of processed sugar, can't you just counter that by eating salt? Won't it kill all the bacteria?
Well, you would think it would be that easy. You just get some
not that
potato
easy.
chips and just throw some sugar on it, and then we're
All
onto something.
So let's look at some salts here. This is your average table salt.
When you were talking about the salts, they would ferment. That's what fermented food is, with salt. And salt makes a brine, and then that makes that good probacteria in there. So you have like kimchi, kombucha, miso. Those are all really important salts for your body because that brings that good bacteria in the gut. Do we put this
That's
over here?
good.
For the
So I do need salt. And so this is, again, when they process salt, they're removing what? What are they taking away?
all the impurities.
And what are these impurities
There's like
in salt?
80, well, it's touted to be 80. I haven't done it myself, so I can only say what they say, the people,
Right,
the
right.
pronoun. So from chlorides, calcium, magnesium, there's all the things that you need. To me, it's like it's a supplement. It's a multivitamin, sea salt. Because like you think like calcium contracts, magnesium relaxes. Now you have proportions perfectly designed on our earth that has both of them in there that your body needs to contract and relax muscles.
And we're messing with that.
And we're kind of messing with that, a little bit.
All right, so there's a bunch of different, the most widely used salt, obviously, is the table salt, extracted from underground salt deposits, heavily processed to remove impurities, which may also remove those trace minerals you're talking about. Often contains an anti-caking agent, such as calcium silicate, to prevent clumps.
Right.
Is it important to prevent clumps in salt in your world?
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now there's kosher salt, which essentially is the same thing, but it doesn't have iodine.
Right.
Iodine is something they started adding
the
in the
thyroid.
1920s for the thyroid.
Right. But then again, to me, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
1920s.
It's funny, right?
But I feel that it's just adding a supplement to something, and they don't know how much how much iodine I need for my thyroid,
Yeah.
because I have different activities, I eat different foods, so then I could be getting too much, and you don't want to mess with your thyroid by over dousing yourself.
I wonder how often they've looked at that since the 1920s.
I don't know.
So the kosher salt is essentially the same, but no iodine. It may have the anti-caking agent. Sea salt.
Sea salt.
Do you like sea salt?
I love sea salt.
Let's look at the difference here. This is
Yeah.
the sea salt. Do you want some? I know you
Oh,
like
look
to
how
munch on
nice that is. I know. I mean, I seriously put this in my tennis bag and just take bites of it.
Now, I've heard people do that, and they come in flakes too. You can buy these in flakes.
Well-
These are more pellets.
It comes, I don't know if these have been, like,
You can go. Okay.
I don't know, sugar, I'm out. It's like rock candy.
It is only salty.
Only salt.
So this comes from evaporating seawater or ocean water, mostly sodium chloride, but sometimes has trace amount of minerals like potassium, zinc, iron, depending on where it was harvested. Because it's not highly refined, it may appear coarser like this, but this is nice and white too. It's not always white.
Here, look, this is the lava one. Is this from the Hawaiian lava beds?
I think that's Iceland. Iceland, yeah.
Oh, boy.
It doesn't have the anti-caking agent on
No,
it. So look at it. It's
obviously.
actually black.
I have one from,
And it tastes like salt, but it has like
But
a,
it's different.
like a seaweed
Sure.
flavor.
oh, that's pretty cool. And you should have a salt tasting of different areas
It's-
of the world.
Actually, this is really nice. I like this one a lot. We've cooked vegetables
This
with
one's
this.
heavier. This definitely,
This one, if you rub it on your fingers will actually turn black. It's kind of weird.
I know that's cool. Well, it's not weird. Weird is
Well,
weird
normal,
is a compliment.
natural.
But you should find out what the black is in it, and that'd be kind of cool. Because if I do a
It
facial scrub
actually
with
said
it.
it on here. It is activated charcoal.
Oh, did they add the charcoal?
I guess so.
Oh,
I
we
don't
could
know
totally
why.
be cleaning
I
out our
felt that was
stomachs
kinda
with
weird,
that.
right? Yeah.
What's that?
That's nice too. This
Oh,
is
Himalayan.
Himalayan pink salt. And as you can see, it's pink.
And I think it's marketed the most, but it's not going to have more benefits than another place. I mean, I wish I could go out here to our ocean and harvest some because I feel like that would be the nutrients I need.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel like I could do that too much.
I've read somewhere,
Is there something else in it? Why is it more than pink?
supposedly iron makes it pink.
But I thought there was a brown.
There's all kinds of different colors. And can you see the colors in here?
Yeah.
There's like brown and pink and like almost like a coral. How's that? Like my colors right? Yeah.
I have a really nice one from Japan over there.
Oh.
It's so good.
Yeah.
You want it? Maybe.
So
we
this
can-
comes from India. And these are mined by, there's actually artisans who do this stuff. What's that from?
This is from Korea.
That's the flaky stuff?
Yeah, it's so good. It's like looks like. I mean, they all similar because they're not been processed and they're not fine. And when you cook with them,
Yours taste different too.
yeah, because in different regions of the world, there's gonna be different things in the water.
Interesting. So I understand that sea salt, Himalayan salt, may have traces of strange things in it. Depending on what's in the water, you could end up with some impurities like lead or something, I understand.
Oh god, with all the
more
plastics down in the water.
That's true. That's true. I didn't even think about that. Maybe that could, I don't know if that could end up in the salt, but it is a possibility. So you
If it
may
would
be
bond with that molecular structure of salt.
right. I wonder if it does that.
Yeah, I would. Can
We don't
people
know
not
that.
dump stuff in the ocean?
Yeah.
That
I'm
makes
trying
me
to get
so
rid of
sad.
the plastics. It's terrible
Yeah.
for all of us. All right, so we have these different types of salts. They do the same kind of thing, but what's better about the natural salts?
Right, well, it's a multivitamin, so it's
Okay.
packed with minerals that your body needs and craves. And that's why if you go in the ocean, maybe sometimes you have aches and pains, they're like, go in the ocean, you'll feel better. And you're like, I do feel better. My eyes feel clearer, my ears feel clearer, because you just kind of like did like a neti pot in the ocean, in a sense.
Right. So the body does require sodium and is a natural,
Absolutely.
is a needed nutrient to conduct nerve impulses, contract and relax muscles, and maintain the proper balance of water and minerals. If you don't have enough salt, you can actually be dehydrated.
That's right, that's
which
right.
I never knew. That's kind of strange.
Yeah, I know, because they don't talk about that. It's
Right.
like, drink more water, don't have any salt.
Right.
Well, how are your kidneys supposed to function without the sodium-water balance? And so that's kind of really
Yeah,
important
we never
to
teach
have
that.
that. And when the one thing that's great when you do raw salt is that your body will say it's kind of had enough. Like you could do white salt, you could eat a bag of chips and you just end up feeling over-salted. And this is true. I have done the sea salted chips and I had enough after so little bit. I know that sounds like insane because you just want to keep going and stuff like that. But you can just eat a little bit and you're like, well, I kind of feel good. So,
That's interesting.
yeah,
Can you have too much sodium in your diet?
of course. I think maybe some people.
In some people, the kidneys have trouble removing the excess sodium. So the body holds onto your water to dilute the sodium. This can stiffen blood vessels, leading to high blood pressure, heart attack, and stroke. I understand it can even cause calcium loss. There's some kind of obscure chemical reaction where it'll actually pull calcium from your bones. So how does salt come out of your body? How do you get rid of that salt you don't need?
You mean like through sweat and urination?
There it is.
Oh, wait, I win.
So those are natural.
Yeah.
Natural ways
Natural
that your
ways.
kidneys do that?
Yeah, the kidneys are the filterers.
Yeah.
Can I say
okay.
that word? Filterers?
Yeah,
Sounds good.
yeah.
Hold up.
So you don't need to, or you do need to drink or eat more salt or consume more salts when you sweat.
Right.
Is that true or false?
Absolutely. When you are sweating and working out, you're going to need more salts. And salts are also your electrolytes. Like that is like a multivitamin called electrolytes. I should just start coining that. Instead of anything else, you go straight to that because all your sources, like when if you get dehydrated and you need to go to the hospital, they're going to put an IV bag of salt in there. And your magnesium, if you don't have that, which is in our sea salt, then your muscles will cramp. And usually you find it first in your calves. You'll start just kind of cramping and you can't kind of move. You start to stiffen up because you're not getting all the minerals that you're needing. And then you do some sea salt and you're just well, don't get to that point, but you
I've
can
actually
do that.
woken up in the middle of the night with a cramp in my calf too. Is that potentially a lack of salt? I didn't have enough salt.
More in, it's salt, but it's more magnesium, and so you could do a magnesium oil with an Epsom salt, and then you just go Epsom salt and water and just dilute it, and then just rub it on the back of your calves before you go to bed at night, and then try to figure out in your diet how you can add more of that.
Interesting. I also read additional potassium intake can help do exactly the opposite. It can relax your blood vessels and excrete sodium while decreasing blood pressure. So it's saying our bodies need far more potassium than sodium each day, but the typical U.S. diet is just the opposite. So how do I get more potassium in my...
Besides kale, spinach,
Bananas?
yeah, but yeah, I mean...
Is there potassium in sea salt?
Yes, yeah.
Is there that?
And what's interesting is if you look at the nutrients that are in sea salt and you compare it with the recommended daily allowance, the numbers match up. You're going to have more sodium, more chloride because your body needs more of it. The magnesium is going to be lower, but you look at RDA percents a day, you're this is eye-opening.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 2 a.m. when I figured it out. I'm oh my gosh.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah.
All right, there's new research saying that there may be benefits to consuming more than the recommended daily allotment of salt. It's saying that sea salt and Himalayan salt is thought to improve sleep because it contains additional minerals and electrolytes for regulating hormones.
That's right.
Agree?
Yes, I totally agree. And when you can't sleep at night, you're probably deficient in something, and that's what you need to look at, what I'm deficient in, and then you help you sleep better. A lot of times it's salts or B vitamins, and there's ways to just add that in your diet. And a blood test just to see where you are deficient, because even you might eat all the right things, but if you can't absorb them, maybe you had intestinal problems or you've had something taken out, and then things aren't working right and things aren't being absorbed properly. So see where you're deficient and then work from there, but don't chase supplements, just do the food that encompasses the whole thing of it.
Yeah, you said that before. That's terrific advice. It's saying eating salt may actually help reduce stress. So when rats, and they're not people, are put in stressful situations, they choose to drink salty water rather than unsalted water.
Wow.
Same with wild rabbits. Seeing when they're stressed out, their sodium intake also shot up too. That's interesting, right?
That is interesting. I wonder though, would they choose sugar over salt?
That's interesting.
And don't they choose sugar over cocaine or something, right? Because the white sugar.
That would be a fun test to do, but I don't think we can legally do that.
I love rats. They're so smart.
The stress-reducing effects of salted humans are not well documented, but there is some evidence. A 2014 study found that women whose diets were high in sodium were less depressed than other women. Thoughts?
I like it. I feel kind of happy. I just had a bunch of this good salt. Because your hormones are being used up all the time. And so when you have cravings, it's because you depleted the nutrients needed in that hormone. From your adrenaline to you have your estrogens, progesterones, all these things need fuel. And how are you going to get those?
To create them.
Mm-hmm. So when you're craving something because maybe you're depressed or anxious, and depressed, maybe more just stressed and over. I mean, if they're saying women, the study is that women has to take care of maybe aging parents, their kids. Obviously, a man needs a lot of work, to take care of and help. So you got a lot going on, right?
Amen.
So
That's the truth.
yeah.
Speaking of males, male rats on high sodium diets showed increased sperm counts. Did you know that?
I
In a
don't know a lot about
1991 experiment, men whose sodium intake was lowered to 2.4 grams a day complained of erectile dysfunction more often than those who consumed 3 grams a day. How about that?
Wow, I haven't really looked at those studies.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah. Was that a male or a rat? Or was it a male rat?
No, these are male rats, yeah.
Both of them.
No, wait, male rats can't complain, but men who complained, yes, about erectile. I don't know if rats have problem with erectile dysfunction. Maybe they do. Who knows?
Wow, it's a...
And there are a few ailments that can actually cause people to create salt. And I think maybe that's my problem. People with adrenal insufficiency, something called Addison's disease, can experience acute salt cravings. And it's also possible that sodium aids growth, explaining why kids seem to always gravitate to that salt shaker. These are new findings, new studies.
New.
So it turns out that salt may be a good thing. It's not the demon we thought it was.
Oh, yeah, you can't survive without it.
I'm jumping for that salt shaker right now as soon as I get back. I'm in. All right, salt, not a demon. Sugar, not a demon. What else is not a demon?
Oh,
Red wine?
red wine.
Felicia?
She just has the bottle in hand. She's good.
So red wine, in moderation, of course,
And of course.
has long been thought of as heart healthy. I feel better already just after that sip.
I
How
do.
about you?
I felt better about that study.
Some studies show
guilt.
red wine might help prevent damage to blood vessels, reduce low-density lipoprotein. Did I say that right? Lipoprotein,
Low-density
lipoprotein, LDL,
lipid.
the bad cholesterol,
Lipids, yeah.
and prevent blood clots.
Right.
Thoughts on that?
Yay.
Happy? And what makes that happen? Is it the antioxidants in red wine?
There's antioxidants in red wine. There's phytoestrogens. There's hormonal exciters in there. So it's going to keep your hormones, up. And it
So
probably
tell me
makes
about this hormonal excitement. I want to learn more about this. All right, so we have something called polyphenols,
Uh-huh.
and there's a polyphenol called, I just learned of this today, resveratrol.
Yes, that's
I can't
only
even
in,
say these words.
it's only in red wine, though, correct?
Red wine, that's right. Right, we'll talk about that in a second. It's been received a lot of attention recently because of its health benefits.
Yeah.
And resveratrol is a phytoestrogen at a high concentration only in red wine. And it's supposed to have many health benefits that are protective against age-related diseases, Felicia. So you should drink more. Are you drinking red wine right now? You are? You are? And how do you feel? You feel younger. You look younger. You look fabulous. Look at you.
She always does. So you're saying that for aging population or women is the red wine good for?
Oh, I would just get in a whole lot of trouble if I even acknowledge that comment. So I'm going to skip
Well-
through, digging a little deeper. Phytoestrogens are plant-based compounds that mimic estrogen in the body. They found to be beneficial in combating symptoms and conditions caused by estrogen deficiency. These are phytoestrogens. They're not real estrogen. They're kind of like fake estrogen.
No, they emulate from blockers and receivers. Like it emulates an estrogen.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain that.
Okay, gotcha.
But the thing is too, when we get older and women, why it's good is because our ovaries aren't producing as much estrogen,
Right.
but we still produce it in our adrenal glands, our fat cells. And so sometimes we'll gain weight, but if we just drink wine, we won't gain weight then because we don't have to make it in our fat cells.
Exactly what the research says may be of particular benefit to premenopausal and postmenopausal women. And phytoestrogens may also play a role in fighting cancer and maintaining bone density. So this may be the fountain of youth.
It is, yes. It tastes like it's
I'll
a nice.
drink to that.
What a good year for the fountain of youth wine.
So men, I looked at this too. Now men, if you consume estrogen, you're not going to grow breasts, so you don't have to worry about that.
That's right.
Certain parts of you will not shrink. Men actually need estrogen too, but just not as much as women do.
Right.
And I was surprised to know that. It's essential for maintaining libido, erectile function, and also making sperm. Not that I need that anymore, but I'm hoping that the good phytoestrogens go to the other things.
And that's in the red.
In the red.
wine.
Yes, in the red wine. Now, the resveratrol in red wine comes from the skin of the grapes, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, used to make right, because red wine is fermented with grape skins longer than white wine, so the red wine naturally contains more of this resveratrol stuff. Now, what about simply eating grapes or just drinking grape juice? Will that give me the same benefits?
You can have some benefits, like the vitamins, but the fermentation is where it is, the fermentation of the grapes.
I think wine is actually a lot more fun than eating grapes or drinking
Yeah.
grape juice. What do you think? Felicia, you agree?
That's why there's no case
Look at
studies
her
on
throwing
it.
that down. My God, she's going to need a refill. What else, where else can I get these resveratrol things?
Let's see, blueberries, cranberries.
I heard some nuts have it too, don't they?
Yeah, like pumpkin seeds,
Yeah. Yeah.
walnuts.
Is this something that a pre or postmenopausal woman should probably add to her diet?
Yeah, absolutely.
Make
Yeah,
it-
get those sweats away and all those. It's a way to not just manage; it's a way to solve and add the foods that are going to help you, have that.
Right. You're kicking a little extra estrogen when you need it. That's awesome. All right. So the amount of resveratrol in food and red wine can vary widely. So I would recommend drinking as much wine as you need to until you feel better. Would that be a medically
Oh, boy.
irresponsible thing to say?
Are you medical?
No,
You can say whatever you
absolutely.
want
I can
to,
say
right?
whatever
Yeah,
I want,
so
right? So,
true.
okay, we talked about wine. Wine is not bad. Go for your reds
Yeah.
because they have the resveratrol, the phytoestrogen, which could help relieve some ailments and give you some nutritional benefits.
Absolutely.
I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Good
So we
stuff.
talked about sugar, not your enemy. Salt, if it's natural, that's good too. Let's move on to
Chocolate.
chocolate
This
and
over
wine.
in my section.
Don't put that wine too far away. So this was once called the drink of the gods, Felicia.
Chocolate was?
Yeah,
Nice.
by the Mayan people. It comes from the seeds of the cacao plant. I tried to get them here, which grows on the cacao tree, native to the tropical rainforest Central America. It was grown for thousands of years. We actually took a tour of Hawaii, found a chocolate plantation there. We were able to get the seeds, which are disgustingly bitter.
Oh,
but
they're so bitter.
they cover them in chocolate, and they're not bad when they cover them in processed chocolate. They cover the seeds
The
in processed
cacao
chocolate.
seed.
Yes.
The chocolate seed,
The
they
chocolate
cover
seed,
it
they
in
cover it in
processed chocolate.
put them in a bag and sell them there, and they're so good.
Wow,
so
that
good.
does
It
sound
really
really
just
good.
tastes it, but it's really good.
And then throw a
for you.
coffee bean in there.
I'm going to patent that right now. So it also, did you know that chocolate also contains a small amount of the marijuana-like neurotransmitter called anandamide? Anandamide? This molecule can easily cross the blood-brain barrier, but the levels in chocolate are probably too low to produce an effect on our mood, but who knows? Now, chocolate, does this contain phytoestrogens?
Yes, right?
Yeah, how about that, huh? So that, and
That's
there's
great
actually a
chocolate.
series of reports showing that men who eat chocolate live longer than men who do not eat chocolate.
Nice.
Give me some of
I
that.
like, you better just, yeah,
Right.
belly up to that.
So
yeah.
this might also explain why 45% of women in the U.S. report that they have chocolate cravings. Are you
Right.
one of part of that 45%?
I'm not I don't
Felice?
do.
You don't
But-
think you don't have chocolate cravings?
So, but do you crave milk chocolate or dark chocolate?
Me?
It's a totally different thing. People who like milk chocolate hate the bitter of the dark chocolate. And Felicia's shaking her head.
Mm. All right. So 91% of female college students report regular cravings for chocolate. Why younger women?
Is there a study on older women too? I think it's across the board,
Yes.
right?
Women in their 50s often develop a sudden strong craving for chocolate. I don't have a percentage, but the female desire for chocolate crosses all ages. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Felicia, do you have a question?
Is it milk chocolate or dark chocolate they're craving?
Doesn't say.
Didn't say.
I mean, specify.
Well, we could talk about the differences
interesting.
in them. That is interesting.
What's the difference? Dark chocolate, milk chocolate, white chocolate?
Well, so milk chocolate's it's going to be more processed. And it's going to be sweeter. It's kind of, I'm going to say it's been Americanized because my friends in Ireland told me that that it's been processed up so the Americans would eat it and like it. So that's when I started eating dark chocolate because I wasn't going to be that person because it made fun of me. So it's bitter and then this is sweet.
A bar of chocolate, dark chocolate, has as many antioxidants as a glass of red wine.
Yep.
So you're
it's
doubling down right now?
Double it down.
You
I
didn't
know.
have any chocolate.
I'm about to. As soon as we go off, I'm going to take it and then go hide.
It's really good. I love the dark
I
chocolate.
know, me too, me too. And there's different, there's different percents. And it'll be more bitter, like the more cocoa it is. And then you can also, going forward with that, you can buy cacao powder, like raw, that hasn't been processed or cooked, and you go and add that in things, and you're gonna get all kinds of nutrients and benefits.
Very, very bitter though, isn't it?
Yes. Well, yeah, it's a bean. And so you would put it in something, like people make smoothies or you're baking,
Oh,
you can add it, you're already adding sugar and butter in your cooking, but you can now add the cacao. And I don't know the heating, if it breaks down in heating temperatures. I put it in my coffee, like I have a filter and I'll put ground cinnamon and ground cacao, raw, cocoa in my coffee filter and then it comes through. And so it's delicious.
That's
And so,
interesting.
yeah.
I thought of doing like a chocolate coffee. That sounds really good.
Yeah, but it won't be sweet like, you'd have to put these in your coffee filter if you wanted
No.
that sweet mocha that you get at the
Not going
stores.
there. So
Yeah.
you have the antioxidant. The cocoa bean is rich in flavonols
Mm-hmm.
and polyphenols. So that's really interesting. Did you know that chocolate is also a high potassium food? Let me read the label. I'll see potassium and here's 147 milligrams.
Of
4%.
potassium. And we just talked about how important that was. And now we don't have to eat any more bananas. Or dip the banana in the chocolate and have a glass of wine.
Stop it right now because I'm getting starving. Oh my goodness, that's interesting. So the higher the cocoa, the less the sugar and probably the
And the
better
process
it is for
and bitter, yeah. 'cause
you. It is a little more bitter,
it's
but
gonna
I
be.
don't like the sweet stuff.
But that's, and what I find is that you get, the more you have, the more processed, you feel like you want that more, like that, you stray away from the bitter. Even
Yeah.
though bitter is great for the liver in Chinese medicine.
Really?
And then you won't wake up from 1 to 3. Not to say you do.
Boom! I'm gonna eat more. I'm gonna try 90%. I'm going to munch on some beans.
Go
So
straight
the
up.
purer and darker the chocolate, the greater your health benefits. So they say that dark chocolate is anywhere 50 to 90% cocoa solids. White milk chocolate is typical 10 to 30%.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a whole lot of benefit, not a health benefit in here. I can't read the ingredients on here.
Yeah.
Potassium has a little bit of potassium, looks like 105
And it's probably
milligrams.
maybe like some white sugar we talked about. So you have to think of things as a fun food and then things as nutritional value. And you go like, oh, chocolate's fun food? No, we just told us that the dark chocolate is nutritional. So you don't have to feel guilty. Here you just like, oh, it's just my pleasure. And then be mindful of that to not do too much of it, but no guilt with that.
You know what I realized?
No.
They have a dark chocolate with
Uh-huh.
sea salt
Yeah.
and nuts in it.
That sounds
Have that with a glass of wine. Boom!
And
Done. That's a meal right there. So white chocolate is pure cocoa butter and doesn't offer any noticeable health benefits. So if you like white chocolate,
I do
wrong side
love
of the
white
fence.
chocolate. It has
Chocolate?
no benefits?
no, that's what it says here. No health benefits.
Huh.
I'm sure there's something in there, but it's really very,
Something.
very
And
limited.
there's butter, you said?
Cocoa butter.
Cocoa. Oh, so
Isn't
that
that what
would
you
have
put on your
benefits.
skin?
That would have benefits.
It probably has some kind of benefit.
Yeah, I'm going to say it has because that's my favorite. But I haven't had it forever, but it's my favorite. So I'm going to say it has benefits. I'm going to say,
Okay.
but not with wine.
Going
So.
with- well, the wine will fill in the whole thing. All right, so dark chocolate has magnesium, zinc, iron, phosphorus, and copper, huh?
Yeah, good
So
stuff.
clearly, there's many good reasons
Yeah.
to eat chocolate.
Yeah.
So chocolate, again, is not the enemy. Try to stick with the dark ones if you can, as opposed to the light ones or the white ones. The darker it is, the more health benefits it will have.
Right, exactly. And it's just the same thing as like you wouldn't live off of kale because it's not going to meet all your nutritional needs, just like you wouldn't live off of dark chocolate. But in complement with, not kale and chocolate together, but in complement with a variety of foods.
I gotcha. All right, now last part, coffee.
Uh-huh.
Research presents strong evidence that drinking coffee has a variety of health benefits after the 1980 studies, which says coffee is bad because the study was flawed because there were a lot of people who smoked. So moderate coffee intake, about 2 to 5 cups a day, which seems like a lot,
That does sound more than moderate, but
linked to a lower likelihood of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, liver and endometrial cancers, Parkinson's disease, and depression. And it also says that it's possible that people who drink coffee can reduce their risk of early death.
wow.
Are you a coffee drinker?
I am a coffee
Right.
drinker. That's what I was saying. I do coffee, cacao, and
That's right.
cinnamon.
That's right, the coffee.
Cinnamon's warming, full of nutrients, and cacao is what we just talked about.
Yours is even better.
Yeah,
Interesting.
So much.
So coffee's known primarily for the stimulant called caffeine.
Yeah.
And it gives people energy, keeps them alert through the day, and that's why coffee probably got so famous.
So if I can go along with that, it's stripping the caffeine out of the coffee. The coffee is it's technically a fruit, it's a bean, and then it's packed with nutrients. So it's how you process it and how you eat it. I've had raw coffee beans and they were amazing. There's a couple of products I've been seeing with the raw green coffee beans in it. But it's so good for you. And then it's just, you have to kind of look, if you really get into coffee and you want the nutritional benefits, maybe even take it deeper, like what is going on in that area where you're buying that coffee? How are they processing, how they producing it? Because that's where you get your nutritional value,
Coffee also has a lot of those, there's that word again, polyphenols, which have been found to fight inflammation and protect against some diseases. And you get the same reductions with decaffeinated coffee. That's interesting. You can actually munch on coffee beans.
You can.
They've got to be horribly bitter as well.
Yeah, they're bitter, which is good for your
Liver?
liver.
Whoa!
That's
There's
right.
going to be a test after this. I'm scared.
That's
So
right.
make sure that you brew your coffee with a paper filter. It's the preferred preparation method. They're saying that espresso, French press, boiled Turkish coffee are considered unfiltered, even if they're strained by a metal filter. And apparently the unfiltered coffee is associated with higher rates of mortality
Oh boy.
and can contain compounds that raise your LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol.
Interesting. I
Unfiltered. So you're using paper filters or some kind of
Yeah.
filter?
Yeah, but I wonder why that is. That would be very interesting to look up why they're saying that.
I don't know the answer to that. And also they advise not going overboard with, the venti Java chip frappuccinos
Oh,
with extra
boy.
whipped cream or a
Yeah, of
Dunkin'
course.
caramel Ralph Macchiato. So you don't want to do that too. Just stick as close to a dark coffee. If you just need a little bit of sugar, that's fine too. But maybe you use your
Yeah.
raw sugars.
I use maple syrup in mine.
Do you
and-
really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And raw
How's
milk.
that? And raw milk
That I have delivered to my house.
from a cow?
The cow doesn't come to my house, but
Is it
the
a milk truck? Is that
yep,
what
a milk
happens?
truck,
Wow.
a raw milk truck comes to my
You
house.
live in large out there.
Out there, I mean, like right there.
Not much is known about the effects of coffee on children, and there are also studies that say that caffeine could be harmful to pregnancies. Also, too much caffeine can cause anxiety in people with panic or anxiety disorders.
Well, it's a stimulant.
Yeah.
So if you do too much of a stimulant, it excites. But I find, I mean, I feel like the young kids aren't doing it straight up, a nice little thing of coffee, getting the benefits of the coffee bean. They're kind of adding all those things you're talking about, like the
Sugar,
whipped cream
cream,
and the caramels that are like, it's most like this much coffee, this much caramel, and then it's a dessert. Yeah.
So our ideal takeaway from this entire talk today is that we will have regular sugar, unprocessed sugar. We use sea salt
Yep.
or something that's unrefined.
Right?
And then we're going to take chocolate, like as dark as we can take it, or even the cacao beans. And then a little bit of wine. And then finish that night off with some really dark filtered coffee. And then we're really in our best possible healthy arrangement.
I think so. In that order, precisely?
Maybe
Or
not. We
maybe
can
we
switch it
could-
up a little
yeah.
bit, I think. Yeah. I think we'll be okay.
I think that sounds amazing. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dr. Devereaux.
Well, you're welcome. This was so much fun.
Hanging out. I'm glad we learned a little bit about foods. Go ahead, you can take that chocolate here, and we're going to have some natural organic fruit and vegetables
you.
after this.
Okay, thank you.
And thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this with people that you care about. And get those antioxidants and those, what is the estrogen? The phytoestrogen into your diet. And
That's
it's going to
right.
make everyone feel a little
That's
better.
right.
For Dr. Devereaux, this is Chuck Fresh, and we'll see you all next time.